If you're looking for a new Christian romance series to read, I've got one for you. It is the Baxter Family series by Karen Kingsbury. So, this is a series that is very long and technically not a series, but a collection of a bunch of different series, all put together in one incredible long collection of books. It actually has 38 books in the whole collection. And you could really say 39 if you include a little additional side story. It is such an incredibly well written and beautiful series by Karen Kingsbury. It is one of my all time favorites, and it is one that I think that you will love as well. Now, you might be asking, Caleb, you're a dude. Why are you reading Christian romance novels? That's weird. Yes, but also they're really good books. And the great thing about this series is that while it is obviously a romance series, it also has really good other themes going on. It explores family and family dynamics, faith, friendships, what it means to be a Christian, and how to live well. All of these are explored in this incredible series. And so, if you love Christian romance, then this is a good series for you. If you like Christian romance, but also want more things involved, this is also a great series for you. Let's go ahead and jump into how to read this collection of books. Because, like I said, 39 books, that's a lot. Technically, there's different series and standalone novels and a prequel, so how do you read this series? That's what I want to share with you today. So, first up in the chronological timeline of the Baxter collection, we have the Baxter Family children's novels. These are 5 novels that take place before all the events of the main series, and they're actually co-authored with Karen Kingsbury's son, and it's such a sweet collaboration between the two of them. It is designed for ages 8 to 12, so around the 3rd to 7th grade range, and it is just a fun, sweet little collection of books exploring their family dynamics, and perfect for a child. However, if you're looking to jump into the Baxter Family series for the first time, that's probably not what you want to start with. If you're looking to read everything in chronological order, yes, you start with the children's novels. However, those are optional. Really, where I'd start is The Baxters, a Prequel. This novel is also set before the events of the main series and was written later, and I kind of went back and forth on where to put this, whether at the beginning or in the middle or the end, but I figured chronologically it makes sense at the very beginning, before you read the main series. Now, this book you obviously could read later, but I think it acts as a nice opener, a nice introduction to the characters and to the main world. If you are looking to reread the series, this acts as a great refresher and reminder of the characters and their dynamics, and acts as the perfect setup to the original series. And if you are new to the world, new to the characters, then this acts as a good introduction and will set up a lot of things to come. You could read it later, but chronologically, I like setting it first. So first up, you have The Baxters, a Prequel novel. So then once you finish the prequel book, it's time to get into the main original series itself, and that is the Redemption series. This one was written by Karen Kingsbury, but is co-authored with Gary Smalley, who is known as America's Relationship Doctor. This sets up all of what is to come as the foundational series, and I would argue that it's probably the best of the series. What I really love about these 5 books is that while there's the standard romance drama going on in the series, really what is the heart of these books are the characters and the family dynamics. As someone who comes from a larger family myself, I loved seeing the family dynamics explored and the ideas of redemption and faith and family all interplayed together in a really complex and engaging series. Plus, what I'm always impressed by is that in the first book, probably the most unlikable character ends up becoming the most sympathetic and likable character in book 2, and she ends up being the foundational character for the series as a whole. When before, she was going to be a side character that wasn't as important until the author and the audience all fell in love with her because of the incredible plot in book 2. So the Redemption series sets the foundation of all of the rest of the Baxter Family series. But even if you're not wanting to explore a 39 book epic saga, I still would recommend reading these 5 books, because the Redemption series acts as a fantastic series by itself, even if you don't want to read everything that comes after. It is beautifully written, it's very emotionally rich and deep, and it was just a fantastic story that made me fall in love with the Baxters and with Karen Kingsbury as an author, even if romance novels are not my go-to standard genre. All right, so once you have finished the Redemption series, then we get into the Firstborn series. These 5 books are set after the events of the Redemption series, and they follow a character, Dwayne Matthews, who isn't in the original series, but ends up finding a connection with the Baxter family later on. And I won't spoil what happens, but we follow him in this second series. Even though this series mainly focuses on Dwayne Matthews, we also see the other Baxter family characters and continue to explore their family dynamic and their own relationships and trials. The main character is also a famous actor, which is fun, and we get lots of drama related to that. And I really did love this sequel series to the original Redemption series. Then, after that, we have the next 4 books, which is the Sunrise series. These are set after the Firstborn series and also follow Dwayne Matthews, but also dive more into the rest of the Baxters. This is a really good follow-up, and while the original Redemption series is still my favorite, I really love the Firstborn and the Sunrise series as well. As a whole, these 14 books act as the main Baxter Family series, and while more books were added later, these were the originals. And so once you finish the Sunrise series, then you have to get into the Above the Line series. And this is another one of my favorites. I love these 4 books. They're so well written. Instead of focusing more on the Baxter family, it focuses on 2 filmmakers trying to transition from missionary work to creating faith-based films. And while the Baxters are still a part of the story, the main focus isn't on them. Instead, it's on these filmmakers, and we also get introduced to another family, the Flanagans, in the series, that end up taking over as the series progresses. But this series explores the intersection between faith and the film industry, and how we as Christians should focus on and understand media, and should we be watching faith-based films, and exploring the idea of trying to maintain purity and trying to hold on to your faith in the midst of a very dark secular culture and environment. So before you read book 3, you should read Unlocked by Karen Kingsbury, which is technically a standalone novel by her that she wrote around the same time. You could get away without reading this before you read book 3, but I really like reading it beforehand because within the novel itself, the filmmakers are turning the book Unlocked into a movie. You don't have to read Unlocked in order to read Take 3, but I really love the book Unlocked. It is worth reading. And so, since in the world of the Baxters, Unlocked is a book that is being turned into a movie, it makes sense to read the book itself. And then after, you can read Take 4 and finish up the Above the Line series. All right, we're 19 books in. Next up, we have the Bailey Flanigan series. And the Flanagans are another family that are close friends with the Baxters, and we meet them in the Above the Line series. So the Bailey Flanigan series explores Bailey Flanigan, obviously, their daughter as she moves to Broadway and deals with lots of romance drama. It explores themes of hope and love and dreams and the search for God's will for one's life. Even though it is technically less centered on the Baxters, it is still a really good series and worth reading. While the Baxters don't take a front seat in the series itself, they're still a part of the world, they're still a part of the story, and they're going to show up every once in a while. What I loved about how Karen Kingsbury did it is that she didn't feel like every single character needed to be doing something super important in every single book. However, we still get caught up with the different characters and we see how they're doing as time progresses. We get little side quests with some of our favorite characters from prior series, even as the focus is on the Flanagans and Bailey in particular. Also, this might be a positive for you or a negative for you, but what I really enjoy about this series is that the expected romance plotline doesn't exactly go as you would predict. Now, the first time I was a little miffed about that, but when I reread it, I appreciated how Karen Kingsbury wrote it, and I think she did an excellent job with it. I won't spoil what happens, and I won't give any more details, but suffice it to say, it did not end how I was expecting, but it was good. All right, so we got the Prequel series, we got the Redemption series, we got the Firstborn series, we got the Sunrise series, we got the Above the Line series, and we got the Bailey Flanigan series. Is that all? Of course not, because now we get into the standalone novels. So now that Karen Kingsbury has taken 2 series to explore other characters in this world and have the Baxters take a back seat, now it's time to let them take the forefront again with Coming Home, which is probably my favorite novel out of the entire series. It is so well written, and it is so heartbreaking, yet so beautiful. It acts as a semi-conclusion to the series as a whole, and a beautiful wrap-up of everything that's come before, with the Baxters back in front after a tragedy happens. And as we're bringing back the Baxters to the forefront, we're re-exploring those themes of family and unity in the midst of horrible tragedy. Like I said, it's very sad, but it's also so good, and essentially my favorite book of the series. However, we're still not done, because next you get A Baxter Family Christmas. Set after the events of Coming Home, this is a standalone, shorter Christmas novel that is really exploring the fallout of what happens in Coming Home. It's a much shorter and streamlined Christmas story, and this is when we start to also get the focus on the next generation, because at this point, the main character's kids are young adults now, and so we start to see their dynamics and their relationships and all of their drama. And then finally, we have 7 more books. I told you, there's a lot of books in the series. So now, once we have finished the Baxter Christmas novel, we have 7 more standalone books that are set in the same universe as the Baxter Family series. However, don't place as much focus on the Baxters themselves. Instead, they're side characters, and these act as standalone novels, so you could read them by themselves, or you could read them as a part of the series. These explore other characters in this world, and they end up interacting some with the Baxters and with the other characters that we've already met. And so the Baxters' story is continued in these 7 books, but they're not the main story. Personally, I didn't like these as much because they felt more like standard romance novels. And if you like Christian romance novels, you will love these standalone novels. However, the emphasis on the family dynamic and the characters that I'd grown to love over the course of many years as these books were being written were less of a focus, and so I didn't enjoy them as much. But they're still excellent books, and I still highly recommend you reading them. Now, I will say that Forgiving Paris is one that is a bit more Baxter focused, and so not all of them are completely standalone. Some of them do focus more on some of our main characters. All right, there you have it. The very long Baxter Family collection by Karen Kingsbury. So to recap, if you're wanting to dive into the series, starting from the very beginning chronologically, you have the optional to read Baxter Family children's novels, and those first 5 books you can read, but you can also skip them and read them later if you just want to explore more of the family. But then you have the prequel novel. You have the Restoration series, which is the original series. You have the Firstborn series. You have the Sunrise series. You have the Above the Line series. You have the Bailey Flanigan series. You have Coming Home, a standalone novel. You have the Baxter Family Christmas novel. And then you have 7 more standalone novels that are set in the same world and give focus on individual characters and their own individual stories. That is quite a lot of books for you to read, but now you know where to start and what to read next. All right, now that we've gotten through all that, let me know in the comments if you've read this series or if you plan on checking it out. And let me know who your favorite character was and what your favorite book out of this epic collection is.